Hello, I'm Bob Mary, and today we're discussing the news of the world in this month of July, 1938. We begin our program with a look at the latest news coming out of the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. Recently, the biographical film Marie Antoinette has made it to theaters. Starring Norma Shearer, best known for her role in the 1930 film The Divorcee, with a budget of over $2 million in 1938 money, also known as regular money in this time, Marie Antoinette is considered one of the most expensive films of the decade. Whether or not this high-risk project pays off for MGM Studios, who produced this film, remains to be seen, but experts say we may never experience such a high-budget film again. Additionally, actress Marion Carver was recently rescued by the Indian crime fighter known as Nadir. Carver was hypnotized by her producer and nearly compelled into killing herself. Luckily, Nadir was able to save her life and even killed the evil producer. The police agree that, like most conflicts involving middle management, murder was probably the most expedited solution for all involved. This month also marks a number of prestigious Hollywood horse races. The first ever Hollywood Derby, featuring a 1¼ mile dirt track. One lucky winner is expected to walk away with the grand prize of $11,938. The Hollywood Derby, living up to its name, will be held at the newly built and impressive Hollywood Park Racetrack in Inglewood, California, at the very heart of where movie magic is ruthlessly and efficiently manufactured. Owned by the chairman of Warner Brothers, Jack Warner himself, and a number of other prominent Hollywood figures such as Walt Disney, Samuel Goldwyn, Al Jolson, and Bing Crosby, it is unclear whether the Hollywood Derby will feature the same exploitative labor practices that define the rest of Hollywood historically, presently, and in the far future. Later this month, another race called the Hollywood Gold Cup Stakes will be premiering at the same location, indicating quite a future for the Hollywood Park Racetrack. The Gold Cup will feature an even higher prize of $55,650 $1938, so as you can imagine, all eyes are on this particular competition. Notable up-and-coming racehorse Seabiscuit is expected to participate in the Gold Cup, with high hopes for the stallion. Last year, Seabiscuit narrowly lost out to the American Horse of the Year award. Many believe that this year, the racehorse, who has increasingly taken the public eye by storm, could mark the Hollywood Gold Cup as another in a long string of recent victories that the stallion has been enjoying. I don't really have jokes for this part, I just think Seabiscuit is so cool. Go Seabiscuit! And now for a special investigative report by Comic Island. With a growing number of superpowered vigilantes emerging, most significantly the troubling appearance of Superman, our station has decided to look into the origins of these so-called heroes. Our sources tell us that one of the first of these rogue crime fighters to emerge in the last couple of years is known as the Phantom. This mysterious individual is said to be the latest in a long line of men allegedly dedicated to eradicating the world of scum and villainy. And if our evidence is to be believed, he has been doing so for some time, even before Superman or the other vigilantes discussed last month. Recently credited with taking down a gang of Sing pirates, the Phantom has been spotted earlier this month working with British forces to battle a cabal of air raiders operating out of British India. As a reminder, it is 1938 and therefore a totally normal thing that a small European country has complete control over an entire, heavily populated subcontinent. Whatever the case may be when it comes to these mysterious new superheroes, it appears they have been around for some time, and aren't going anywhere anytime soon either. Are we entering into a dark age of superhero eccentricities? In this reporter's opinion, the answer is a dire and terrifying yes. Indeed, the disturbing rise of these superhero menaces continues to dominate our stories. We should not trust in their seemingly good-natured intentions. Heroes like this are not accountable to the public, and worse, in the case of Nadir, or as suspected of Superman, these people weren't even born in America, and therefore can't be trusted. Looking across the world, many of these vigilantes are acting as little more than rogues, beholden only to their personal moral code, and their numbers are on the rise. In the South Pacific, Captain Jerry and his young assistant have been sailing the seas and meting out their own particular brand of justice. The captain encountered another captain named Slag, who was considered a local nuisance and womanizer. Jerry attacked Slag, only to be robbed by the villain that night. So Jerry and Charlie attacked Captain Slag's crew until Charlie threatened them with a fake grenade. They were able to retrieve their stolen goods, and Captain Slag was left to think twice about his dastardly actions. As a reward, Captain Jerry was allowed to keep a number of pearls given to him by local residents. But it should be noted that both these men risked their own lives and well-being over material goods while putting other, potentially innocent people in danger. That is explicitly what the police are supposed to do, not some queer pirate and his ward. And if you think that's bad, dear viewers, perhaps it is time we take a look at the Clock. Yet another vigilante that has emerged in New York City in recent days. The Clock is known for donning a mask and ruthlessly exacting justice however he can. Recently, the Clock was found working with an undercover police officer named Ted Carney to take out notorious serial killer Casca. Officer Carney was knocked out in the ensuing conflict, leaving the Clock alone and unaccountable to deal with the murderer alone. Though Carney survived the incident with only minor injuries, Casca suspiciously fell to his death off a building trying to escape. There are no witnesses to these events, so it is only rumored that the Clock was unmasked during his encounter with the villain. If the Clock's identity was exposed, there is no way of us confirming that he didn't purposefully let Casca die, or if the Clock even outright killed the man just to preserve his mystery around his name. Chief Kane of the police decided to comment on the matter, but the NYPD does not seem interested in pursuing any sort of investigation into the Clock. Alarmingly, they seem ready and eager to work with this particular vigilante instead. Elsewhere in the city, the daughter of an esteemed inventor named Mr. Horn was kidnapped, and the family's chauffeur was brutally murdered in the process. Government official Speed Saunder, Ace Investigator, was tasked with finding the young woman, who the kidnappers were holding ransom so that they might seize a new invention for themselves. Saunders was able to track down the lead man behind this crime, but was ambushed by Percy, a man of color our resident artist felt best was approximated with this type of artwork. Saunders was incapacitated and held by Miss Horn, and the kidnappers unleashed a chest full of snakes upon their victims. Fortunately, Speed Saunders was able to break free of his bindings and keep the snakes away by using their aversion to hair rope. As you all know, it is a well-known fact that snakes generally don't cross ropes made of hair, in a trend that almost certainly isn't some sort of insane urban legend with no actual foundation in reality. This is real life after all, and in the real world, snakes are famously afraid of rope. Saunders was able to escape with Horn, and he attacked the kidnappers, shooting them both dead. As you can see from this story, clearly the police are perfectly capable of murdering criminals on sight and enforcing a rigid sense of white supremacy in American life, so it is unclear why figures like the Clock or Superman are necessary to begin with. Speaking of the Menace of Steel, who still hasn't killed any poor people, and worse still appears to be actively helping non-Americans, rumors of Superman retiring have been spreading, but we can confirm as completely false. He was recently spotted violently interrogating a lobbyist named Henry Horville, a controversial political figure due to his connections with an ongoing war in the nation of San Monte. According to mild-mannered Daily Star reporter Clark Kent, Emil had Superman shot many times by his men, which had little effect on this mysterious new superhero. Emil then flung Superman into the ocean on a voyage to San Monte, but this also did nothing to stop the blue-clad menace. Horville was then rescued by Superman in an ironic turn of events when Emil's own men betrayed him, highlighting the unstable nature of San Monte. For whatever reason, Superman then forced Horville to join San Monte's military, putting the now ex-diplomat on the front line of a country's war within South America. During this, Lois Lane was arrested by the San Montan authorities when they discovered stolen documents in the American woman's hotel room, though the journalist fiercely denies having actually taken anything. Superman saved her, though declined to answer any of the intrepid reporter's questions on the Man of Steel. At this point, in an alarming turn of events, the superhero decided to directly intervene in the nation's ongoing conflict, attacking forces on both sides, and then kidnapping the head of both military factions, forcing them to sign a peace agreement or fight each other to the death in hand-to-hand combat. Though they did indeed come to a peace agreement, this raises a number of troubling questions about how Superman views civil authority and just what this being is capable of. Many have already considered Superman to be the most dangerous man alive, which is quite a statement in 1938 when all these people are alive and in power. Our final story is a tragic one. 6 Jews were killed this week in another violent act spiraling out of Palestine, as part of ongoing religious and ethnic strife that has been plaguing the troubled region. Experts say this matter is of concern, but are not worried about the long-term stability in the Middle East. Our own researchers have concluded that things in Palestine should calm down within a day or two. The region has been slowly modernizing away from sectarian violence and moderating itself more and more. So long as nobody does something truly unhinged like carve a new country out of existing cultural borders, everything should be going fine, just fine in the Middle East. My name is Bob Mary, and these are the developments of the world on July of 1938. Thank you, and good night.